Welcome back to Real Estate Talk this Sunday morning. We are delighted you to join us. This hour is brought to you by Real Estate Concierge. And by the way, one of the greatest companies you'll ever deal with when buying or selling a home, 855-732-6700, 855-732-6700. You can go to owntx.us. Heather is very, very, very attuned to never forgetting that this business is about people. And you have to stay connected with people. Yeah, we got all the technology in the world. But at the end of the day, somebody buying or selling a home or even renting a home, it's a large emotional transition for them. And I think Heather does a really good job at putting those fears at bay. Now, we're talking about some of the things that you guys on the rental side should do for the tenant and the less, or what do you call them?
The landlord.
The tenant and the landlord.
Yeah.
I had a little brain boo-boo there, but carry on.
Okay, so Michael, because he's our expert here, he's gonna go. He made a checklist that he created after doing. Michael, how many inspections have you done?
Oh my goodness.
Thousands.
I don't know. Thousands.
Thousands.
But I don't know the
and
number.
thousands over 10 years. And so this is what he sees on a regular basis. And can't you always tell? Not always, but wouldn't you say most of the time you could tell a tenant living in a home and an owner living in a home?
Yes. The short answer is yes.
Okay.
The real answer, though, is that there are a lot of homeowners who don't know how to take care of their property.
That's exactly right. And that's not a knock to our tenants, right? Tenants, it's just, I think there's been a lack of education. So what we're trying to do is bring that education to you and teach you how to maintain a house. You know, when we were on break, I was seeing a lot of tenants go from, actually I said this on the segment, never mind. Okay, the progression, mom and dad's house, dorm, apartment, and then the house.
Well, Heather, I'll give you an example. A couple weeks back here in Dallas, you know, it was snowing at noon, sideways.
Yes,
right?
I know.
And so a lot of people were calling me, calling some of my plumber friends, how do we keep the pipes from blowing out, right? Well, what happens is, you know, you're right, information is key to everything. And so I bet you that day alone I had, and you probably too, Michael, but I had 50 phone calls. What do we do in our house? Well, you're a talk show host. You ought to know what we do. Here's what you do, man. You let those pipes drip. You turn the heater up to 60 degrees, and you open up the cabinets where the heat can get to the pipes.
Yep.
And it's common sense, but it's so funny. So many homeowners and tenants don't know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I don't, the millennial generation, I kind of call it the divorce generation. I really think a lot of people grew up in apartments, kind of divorced homes, and I think they miss that education.
That's a good point.
Of what they, you know, learned from maybe the even my generation, the Gen X. I think we kind of missed a lot of that. You know, the baby boomers, they seem to get more of that. So that's why we have Michael. Okay, Michael. All right, what else should our tenants do?
Well, we're talking about things that are common sense and things that are not common sense but require some knowledge. One of those things, which is very, very important for both tenants and homeowners, is change your AC filter religiously.
So important.
A dirty filter can cause your HVAC equipment to work poorly. It will make the house uncomfortable. And for example, you could have your cooling system on, running, but the house is uncomfortably warm. I can't remember the times my tenants called me to tell me the AC is on, but we're not cooling here. And the first thing I ask them is, may I come over? When I come over, the first thing I do is I pull the AC filter out and I look at it. The overwhelming majority of the time, there's a dirty filter that actually causes the system to not cool. You replace the dirty filter with a clean filter, and wham, magically, the system cools again.
Let's talk about that, Michael, because I'm in the flip business, and when you're gutting a house and changing a house up, the construction dust is all over the place. It's real easy. There's two box stores. It's Home Depot and Lowe's. And you go down there and you pull your old one out, and for the high end of a filter is maybe 20 bucks, right?
Yes, yes.
And that should be done, in my opinion, in a rental property or as a homeowner, depending on the time of the year, depending on the amount of traffic you have in the house, how many pets you have and things like that, wouldn't you say every 30, 45 days?
I change my filters every month.
Every 30, 45
Yes.
days, yeah.
And it's not difficult to find out what works at your
Just
house.
look at them.
Even if the manufacturer says, well, my filters last 90 days, 90 days is in a lab environment under certain conditions.
Yeah, yeah.
Just pull your filter out once a month and look at it. You don't need an expert to tell you if it's
Yeah.
clean or not. Just look at it. If it looks dirty to you, it's dirty.
Change it.
So change it.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so Michael, I went on this 2-year journey to come up with a rhyme because this was like the #1 issue we had when we had our property management company. And I came up with a rhyme. Would you like to hear that rhyme?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now I have to give a shout
Yes,
out to my
yes,
friend
please.
Victoria Akuapu. I can never say her last name right, but thank you, friend. She's the one that finally helped me solidify this rhyme. Okay, when you pay your rent.
I'm pleading the fifth on this.
Okay. When you pay your rent, check your vent. What do
There
you
you go.
think? Okay. When you pay your rent, check your vent. And that'll
That's
help
right.
remind you to change the filter religiously every month. And so again, to recap, there's 3 reasons. Your unit will break, and it absolutely could be your responsibility, tenant. I'm not kidding.
Well, let me tell you another thing, too, from a tenant perspective. When you change that filter out, tell me if I'm wrong, Michael P. If you do that religiously, it's going to help your electricity bill.
That's right. That's a 3rd reason. And then also
And
dirty air.
And it will keep the air cleaner, the air that your family breathes in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Another thing that is related to the filter is the thermostat. You want a programmable thermostat as a tenant and as a homeowner. Now, whether the thermostat is programmable doesn't make much difference to the landlord because he doesn't live there. But it makes a big difference to the person who lives there. If you're on any kind of regular schedule, you know, the folks in the house leave at about the same time, they come back at about the same time. If you have a programmable thermostat, that can save you a considerable amount of money every month. If the house you're renting does not have a programmable thermostat, then you should ask in writing your landlord to install one, or if the landlord does not want to do that, ask them for permission for you to install one.
And the cost of that is what, Michael P.?
The cost can be from $20 to $100, depending how fancy a thermostat you want to get. But you can go to any hardware store, buy a programmable thermostat for $30. You will get this $30 back in a negligible amount of time, and you will have a comfortable house and lower bills.
I tell you, you know, when you talk about it, you have done thousands of inspections. What Michael P. is saying to you is so valuable for the person that's on a budget. And here's what I mean by that. If you're not, knowledge is power. And if somebody's in the dead of July and June and their mentality is, hey, I'm going to work at 8 o'clock, I'm going to shut the air conditioner off, right? And then that house builds up with heat all during the day. And then they come home and they crank it down to 60. The amount of electricity it takes to cool that house down far succeeds what you think you're saving by turning it off.
Right.
Absolutely. Programmable thermostat
There
is
you
your
go.
friend.
There you
Yes.
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's next, Michael? We're on a roll.
All the appliances in the house are the responsibility, the repairs for the appliances, the responsibility of the landlord, unless
In most cases.
the appliance broke demonstrably because you, the tenant, didn't do simple maintenance. For example, the HVAC, the cooling system. If it turns out that you called your landlord complaining that the cooling system doesn't work, and that is because it turns out that because you didn't change the filter, you didn't do your regular maintenance, then your contract may obligate you, your lease may obligate you to pay for the repair.
Absolutely. Okay, and
Common
then
sense has a lot to do with
Common
this.
sense. For
Which is not
example,
common anymore.
not everything is meant to be flushed down the toilet. Your baby's diapers are not meant to be flushed down the
No,
toilet.
don't do it.
Especially in older homes that have cast iron sewer plumbing.
Ouch.
And it can become very, very expensive, other than inconvenient. For example, seeing the sewers of your toilet or your shower back up.
That's right.
I got to go to break, guys. Real Estate Concierge. This hour is brought to you by Real Estate Concierge. Let's repeat myself, didn't I? 855-732-6700. Again, 855-732-6700. And a really good inspector and a guy you want to get to know is Michael P. 214-532-2092. Again, 214-532-2092. I got to go to break. We'll be back in a Willie Scotia. You don't want to miss the second half of this show.